You're listening to Trek FM.
Welcome to From There to Here, Trek FM's 50th anniversary Star Trek rewatch. We're covering all 729 Star Trek adventures from Enterprise to Star Trek Beyond and everything in between. I'm Zach Moore, and I'm joined today by Daniel Proulx. What's up, Daniel?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going, man. It's going. I'm excited to talk 2 episodes of Deep Space Nine today. You know, ever since From There to Here shifted from doing just one series at a time because of the overlapping Star Trek series, sometimes you get one of each, sometimes you get 2 of each. So today we gave a whole block of Deep Space Nine, and what a block it is, Daniel.
What a block.
So we're talking about Rivals and the Alternate. Rivals will do first. In this episode, Quark feels threatened when a con artist arrives on the station and opens up a competing bar. Meanwhile, Chief O'Brien is determined to beat Dr. Bashir at racquetball. So Dan, I'll ask you, what'd you think of Rivals?
Prince Humperdinck?
Yes, exactly.
I had to. I mean, come on. That's all I know this guy from. I mean, every time I saw him, that's all I could think. But Rivals is fun. It's stupid. It's kind of dumb, but it's fun. I really like the O'Brien Doctor stuff. Of course, I really like the O'Brien Doctor stuff whenever it shows up. But I really, really, really dislike the scientific MacGuffin in this episode. Other than that, it's pretty okay. This guy is Humperdinck charming and interesting, and he gets to play a fellow Elarian, of course, which is everybody knows is what Guinan is. So the only other, I believe, if I can remember correctly, the only other Elarian that we encounter in canon,
other than Soren.
Oh, of course, other than Soren. You're right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. So that's cool, and it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
When you said dumb and stupid, I was inclined to agree with you.
Yeah.
You're right. And the whole, this is some of the most techno-babbly, it's about as techno-babbly as Deep Space Nine ever gets, right? It's like, the neutrinos control luck, basically.
Yeah.
And this alien game machine, anyway, it's I don't know, it's weird. And then, Prince Humperdinck, that's great and all, but, I felt like there should be more of, like, some kind of con man, Quark, kind of one-up each other kind of deal. I didn't really get that from them. I didn't get the sparks, between the true rivalry, between the rivals is the name of the episode. I was more interested in the Chief O'Brien Bashir racquetball tournament, to be honest.
Yes, that is the best part of the episode. You're saying that you don't really get the rivalry very well, right? And it seems to be that their only rivalry comes from the fact that Quark tried to get kind of a good deal on this guy, and it feels really flimsy, right? He's like, they're getting along. He's like, oh, I'll sell you this game for whatever, and he's like, I tried to one up you, and then he's like, oh, now I'm gonna open a shop across the way from you so we can be rivals. It's like kind of flimsy, like their rivalry is kind of flimsy, and it feels to me kind of like the same way that Superman and Batman come together, and Batman v Superman is also very flimsy. Like, it's just some random comment that kind of sets one of them off, and I don't know. I agree with you that the A plot is kind of dumb, but I like the Bashir O'Brien stuff. And actually, I wanted to mention this specifically because Keiko is very, very supportive of O'Brien in this episode.
Yes, I was going to say that too. Like, this is like the strongest their marriage has ever been.
Yeah, she doesn't, she's like, listen, you're getting older. That's natural. She's being very real with him and being very honest with him. And then when he's going to do this tournament, she's like, here's my scarf, with Japanese perfume or whatever. Like, she's so opposite. She's like the anti-Keiko for the rest of Deep Space Nine. It's kind of a breath of fresh air for me to kind of see her to just kind of be like supporting, Miles, because most of the time she's not that way. And I thought that was good. I thought that was a good aspect of the episode as well.
Well, that's the thing about Chief O'Brien, right? Like, he's like the everyman of Star Trek. He's got a normal marriage, a normal, like, personal life, that things aren't rosy all the time, but he's a working man's guy, blue collar guy. He's a relatable guy too, and you can relate. Like, you see him with his shirt off in this episode. Like, oh yeah, he's just an average guy.
Yeah.
So often on these shows, you get everybody on Enterprise rubbing each other down in the decon chamber, right? This was a good episode for them, and also this is still near the beginning of the Chief O'Brien Bashir bromance that goes on in Deep Space Nine. So they're still not really friends yet.
Yep.
But still, they still have great chemistry. Even because we all have had those people in our lives that like annoy us, but you spend enough time with them, you really like them, and they become your best friends. You never would have thought that, looking back, and that's what Miles and Jules are.
Yeah, it's like I am a huge Bashir fan, and I'm even a season 1 Bashir fan. But every time I watch these episodes, I'm like, they seem to be purposefully writing him as obnoxious and arrogant, like way over the top obnoxious and arrogant. Like, this man should have enough kind of self-consciousness to be like, okay, I'm kind of pushing him a little hard on this one. Oh, you like the traditional model of racquetball? It's like so ridiculous. Oh, I only won against all of these people. It's just silly. But I really do like that aspect, and of course. They kind of get, or Quark kind of gets his comeuppance at the end when they kind of collude together at the end there.
Right. It's always good to see Quark's schemes fall apart,
yeah.
right? But Quark does have the last word in this episode where he's like, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Because, the Elorians are the race of listeners, right? That's what they do. They listen. So it's just good for Quark to turn that around on him at the end. But, this episode, it's when people say Deep Space Nine didn't get good until Worf showed up. This is the kind of episode they're thinking about.
Yeah, it's not great. To me, it's okay. It's passable. I like I said, I really like it's the character stuff. They get it right from the beginning, and that kind of pulls you through these not great episodes. Like in the beginning, it's Quark and Odo, and you're like, oh, okay, or not in the beginning, but like when they kind of match up here, and it's. I don't know. It's to me that's where these kind of not fantastic episodes pull their strength from.
Good characters can get you through any story, right? Mm-hmm. But bad characters can sink even a good story. So if I had to pick, I definitely pick good characters every time.
Yep. I'm with you.
All right. Well, let's move on to our second episode today, The Alternate. In this episode, the Bajoran scientist who used to be Odo's teacher arrives with evidence of others of Odo's kind. Dr. Mora is his name. Played by the defector, Daniel.
By the defector himself. That's right. Admiral Jarath? Oh my, am I pulling that out? Wow. I'm impressed with myself. I can't.
The Real Gay Guys will be very proud
They
of you.
will be, because I can't normally do that. He is such a recognizable character actor, isn't he? The kind of guy that you kind of recognize no matter where he is. Here's the thing about this episode. It's okay. But I feel like these early Odo episodes, they just kind of forget about. I know Dr. Moore does come back in another episode, and I can't specifically remember.
It's the Begotten.
The Begotten. But like...
Yeah, it's the one with the other change, the little baby change.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes, that's exactly... And I thought that was this episode when I first started watching it. I'm like, oh, they're going to come back with that baby changeling. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. But... I'm not going to fault this episode for this, but like you watch this episode with the knowledge of all of Deep Space Nine, and he's like, oh, you can't get the ears right. The ears are tough, or whatever he says. And, well, wait a minute. None of the changelings, that's their natural humanoid, quote unquote, form, I guess. Like, so there's...
Yeah, that's a huge problem with the changelings, I feel, on Deep Space Nine. Like, why do they look that way? Because you're right. They made such a big deal out of how Odo wasn't a perfect shapeshifter. I mean, he can turn to a rat and it looks perfect, right? Yeah. But if he can't turn to a human face, right? And you wonder, like, do the founders look that way to make him feel better, or?
But that can't be the case, because when he first meets them, they just show up like that. Is that right? If I'm remembering correctly?
Yeah, they come out of the. Is this spoil? Should we be talking about this?
I don't know. I don't know. Spoilers.
Don't listen, Andy. Don't listen.
Yeah. So it's tough for me because I watched another early Odo episode, and I was also kind of bothered by the fact that, like, they didn't know where they were going with Odo in the beginning, and that's fine. That's cool. All Star Trek kind of does that, but it just, like, they feel out of place when you try to watch them retroactively with all of the knowledge that you have going forward, and which is fine. I don't know.
Well, it's similar. It's similar to we were talking about Inheritance a couple days ago. It's similar to Data's backstory, where you get all these little pieces, these hints at certain things. You would assumed, at certain points in time, you assumed Dr. Soong had died, and then, oh no, he's still alive. Data meets him, and then you assume there's only 2 Datas, but no, there's 5, and here's B4, and here's his mom. So you start whenever you start dropping in stuff to this mythology, it's hard to connect all the dots. But they do make some attempt if again, spoilers, sorry guys, but in The Search, you see that same obelisk on the Changeling planet. Yep. So there is some attempt at continuity there. But I agree with you, because there was the episode of Vortex with the necklace. That was cool. Kind of hinted at the Changelings and stuff.
That's what it was. That was
cool.
The other one that I was...
But we never see it again, right?
Yep.
And then this episode, they make that attempt with the set director makes the attempt with the obelisk to tie those together. But I don't know, I don't know when they it'd be interesting to, and I'm sure this is in a book somewhere, but when they decided to do what they did with Odo and his people, because you're right, in these first couple seasons, it's this big Gamma Quadrant mystery, and I'm sure eventually they intended to pay it off, but I wonder when they decided to do that and in what form that was going to take place, because clearly you're right, this doesn't quite jive up with what we all find out about how the shapeshifters, what their society is moving forward.
And, we're talking about this continuity stuff here, too, as well. There's a conversation that Sisko has with Odo here.
Yeah.
Where, look, he doesn't expressly say his father died. But that is exactly the conversation that he's having with Odo. You can retcon that, and that's fine. It doesn't bother me too much. But you could not look at me straight-faced and tell me that the writers didn't intend to say that Sisko had gone through this terrible traumatic experience where his father lost his battle with whatever. That's exactly how that scene was set up. And it's so jarring to watch it when you're like, what do you mean? What about Papa Sisko? We see him so much in the future. What happened to him? Did I miss something? And it's so weird to go back in here and be like, oh, nope, he was fine. I don't know what he was trying to relate to there with Odo.
Well, that was especially jarring to me, because this is an episode that I missed, the first time around. So I had seen all the later Deep Space Nine episodes before this one. I kind of went back and filled in the gaps with a lot of episodes. And yeah, I had the same, whoa, he's not dead. What is he talking about? Maybe they didn't make up their mind if they wanted to have Sisko's father be deceased or not, because he says just enough.
Yes.
Where you imply that he's dead, but he never flat out says it. So they could use that back door if they wanted to, and they wanted to. And I'm glad, because Brock Peters is a great actor. And I'm glad he came in.
No. And the grandfather, father, son relationship between those 3 characters is wonderful. It's so good. I'm so glad that they went that way. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. It's just you watch this episode and then you're like, wait, what? No, he's fine. He has his own restaurant. I've seen it, And
well, all of our continuity nitpicks aside.
Yeah, no, it's true. We shouldn't stick too hard on that, but it is. Other than that, I do like Dr. Mora. He is a little over the top, I think, a little oh, obviously you want my approval and I'm not going to give it to you, that kind of a thing. But
I love he understands Odo so well. You buy the fact that he grew up with this guy and he knows about him, because I know Sisko calls Odo Constable and Mora questions it, and Odo refers to it as a nickname that he barely tolerates, and Mora's it's an expression of affection that you cannot accept, so he understands how Odo is, and that's cool. I actually, a lot of these characters, they come in somebody from somebody's past, quote unquote, and you don't buy that there's a history there, but I totally bought the history there between Dr. Mora and Odo.
I also, anytime that Dax gets to science, I love Dax, without a shadow of a doubt. She's one of my favorite characters ever of all time, and I have a huge crush on her on top of that, and so when she gets to science with a science person, I'm all for that, so...
My replicator or yours?
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot about that. That was good.
Creepy Bashir.
Yeah, he is batting 0 for sure on this one. And it was so funny too to watch, another instance of and I feel like we only do this to Deep Space Nine because of how well thought out the whole series seemed to have been. But he has this inner monologue. I guess it's an outer monologue because he says it out loud. But he's like, one day I will stop pursuing you, and then we'll see what happens. And I'm like, nope, that's not going to happen, bud. That's not going to happen. But it's okay. It's a good episode.
I guess the first time around, I wasn't quite sure if it was, Odo or, because the episode leads you to believe it's like this other changeling, right, or it's some other life form they brought back with them. But it's something. In fact, it's something that had infected Odo that had morphed him into having this basically Jekyll and Hyde situation going on. And once again, watching this episode after I'd seen so much of Deep Space Nine, I was like, well, I'm pretty sure this is not, a changeling. that would have been mentioned before. So I was pretty sure that it was Odo at that point. But I feel like they did enough to conceal everything where it wasn't, it didn't all line up where it was so obvious it was Odo. It was a good mystery.
And this is like an early example of the melting face Odo that we get later on as well, which is cool. Yeah, the mystery isn't so great, but the worst part about it that brought me out of it is the special effects at the end when they're kind of trapping him. That's very, because it's so sustained and it lasts so long. It's a little jarring for me because it's so early 90s kind of
CGI.
Yeah. It's fine. Like you watch it and you can get past it, but it's just.
I guess that's how they look. That's how the shapeshifters look. That kind of plasticky looking gold look. So that's why it doesn't bother me as much. But I do see your point.
Well, generally speaking, like it takes Odo 2 seconds to morph from a rat to a cup or whatever. Well, I just pulled some Harry Potter stuff out of there. But it only takes him 2 seconds to transform, so it's not a big deal. It doesn't bother me that much. But here it's like a 20-30 second scene of him just kind of in his gelatinous state, and you're like, okay, all right, we're dragging it on a little bit long, but of course that's fine. It's not too bad. It's just, I was like, man, they spent their money here, but it was early 90s CG money, so
I always think about this when Odo passes out, because he does quite a few times on Deep Space Nine. Shouldn't he just pass out into a pile of goo
and melt?
Yeah, because I mean, why is he holding his shape if he's no longer conscious? I mean, this happens in a few episodes, and I always think like it'd be funny if they. I guess it wouldn't be very. It wouldn't have much. There's not much dignity in scooping him up into a bowl or something.
Yeah,
but if you're gonna have a shapeshifter whose natural form is a bowl of goo, then that's what he should revert to. When he passes out.
And I do really like that aspect of the episode when Bashir's like, look, I got no idea what's wrong with him. Like, I don't even know what the heck's going on, but you can take some rest because that seems to be a pretty safe bet. Yeah. I like that. I like that aspect that, Bashir probably has the best kind of idea of what Odo is exactly, and he still has no idea what Odo is exactly. So it's cool. I like that part.
Well, cool. I think that pretty much covers our conversation on The Alternate. Daniel, if people want to talk to you on the internet, where can they find you?
They can find me here on Trek FM every week talking TNG with my co-hosts Philip and Darren. And they can find me on Twitter at OneUpDan. That's the number 1, not the word.
And as for me personally, you can find me on Twitter at MoronZach. That's MoreOnZach. And I'm also the host of my own podcast, Always Hold On to Smallville, which talks about that young Superman TV series. You can find us on Twitter at AlwaysMallville with 1 S. Well, that's going to do it today for From There to Here. Tomorrow we'll be back talking about 2 Next Generation episodes, The Pegasus and Homeward. One of those is great, one of those is not. Stay tuned tomorrow and find out which is which.